this is very, very kedai. If the Shloh wrote it, it's kedai we should read it. He doesn't, whenever he writes, it's very, very deep. Shnei Luchot HaBrit. Rabbi Yeshaya Horowitz, he wrote this about, this is the letter which was written by Rav Shlomo Alkabetz. Shlomo Alkabetz was the author of the Chododi, and he was in the home. I have a pen for you. Here's a pen. Shlomo Alkabetz was in the home of the Beis Yosef, of Yosef Karo, when this happened. He was there on Shavuos. No, according to this Sefer, Sifsei Chaim, this did not happen in Eretz Yisrael. That's according to everyone. It didn't happen in Eretz Yisrael because they kept 2 days Shavuos. So it was in Chutz La'aretz. And according to this, it happened in Libya, in Tripoli. Tripoli is in Libya. That's where this happened, where they came to learn. Now we have to understand, the Beis Yosef was a person that people take for granted. What he did was absolutely amazing. The Beis Yosef, he lived a little bit longer than people in those ages lived. People used to live in those ages to 50, 60. That's about it. That's what people lived. That they didn't live too much longer. The Beis Yosef lived into his late 70s, I think it was. And Yosef Karo. And you had to, what he did is absolutely amazing. Nobody else did the same thing. He's the first one who did it, and nobody else came near to him. He had to know all of Bavli, all of the Yerushalmi, all the Rambams, all the Rabbeinu Nissim. He took all the major poskim, the Sephardi poskim, and he went through the entire Shas, Bavli and Yerushalmi, and made the Arba Chelkei Shulchan Aruch.
What is this?
The code of laws that we have are Chaim, Yeridea, Choshen Mishpat, and Even Hezer. He, after, now it's going. After going through the entire Shas, Bavli, Yerushalmi, and the Rambam, and the entire everything, the Rambam and the Rabbeinu Nissim, all the Sephardi poskim, he was able to collate and put together and draw out what would be the halacha, how you're supposed to live based on all the knowledge of all the interpretations that the Rishonim who interpreted the Shas. What did they say you have to do? He able to took all their opinions and made a concise, clear Shulchan Aruch. It takes the entire gamut of everything a person has to do in his lifetime. From the beginning of the day he's born until the day he dies, everything that he could possibly have to do in his life. Shulchan Aruch, when it comes to his daily living in shul, how he has to live in his kitchen, Isser v'Heter, marriage, relationships, arayos, business, everything was covered. It's an amazing, amazing feat. This was Rabbi Yosef Karo, the Beis Yosef. With all that, the Beis Yosef had a special hobby. A very, very, very special hobby. He loved to learn Mishnayos. He used to learn Mishnayos over and over and over and over again, Chazor and Mishnayos, besides all his other learning. Now, he got to such a point that he became so, I would say, attached to the Mishnayos that Min HaShamayim, Min HaShamayim, we need this pen. Oh, here's another pen. Yeah, the blue. Right here. That's enough. I need that pen. Here's this pen. Min HaShamayim, they sent down to the Beis Yosef the Malach who was in charge of the Mishnah. The Malach of the Mishnah used to come on visits to the Beis Yosef, and they would have discussions, and he would be megalit him all kinds of secrets on the Torah. Now, don't think that it's not available. The Beis Yosef, after the Malach left, wrote it all down, and there's a sefer called Magid Meishorim, which the Beis Yosef tells over what the Malach learned with him. Amazing sefer. It's available in all the stores. You can get it. That's called the Maggid Mishar. Okay, so that's the Beis Yosef. Reb Shlomo Alkabetz, who was the author of the, as we said, of the Rechavia, came to the Beis Yosef, and he was there during that period, according to this, in Tripoli, Libya, when Shavuos came. So they stayed up all night to learn. And the same Malach who used to come to the Beis Yosef came to them on Leil Shavuos too. And he spoke to them, and he praised them, and he gave them all kinds of advice. And everything was recorded by the Alkabetz after Shavuos. And he wrote a letter describing the entire experience. And the Alkabetz writes a letter describing the entire experience. There's a lot to be learned from what he wrote. And here in our Sefer, we're going to read the letter that Alkabetz wrote. It's very interesting to see how these great Gedolim, how they went through that experience of Shavuos. Now, he writes here, I have to tell you this, Baal Peh, I was just so amazed, absolutely amazed. They were up all night, the first night of Shavuos. So if you're up a whole night, by day you have to sleep. They didn't sleep the next day, Shavuos either. And Shavuos in the afternoon, the Beis Yosef gave a drasha. And they couldn't, because he's the host, they all came to him, so they couldn't go to sleep, and he's giving the drasha. So they stayed up for the drasha, and then they stayed up a second night Shavuos without going to sleep. I don't know where they had the kachas to do that. How they had such energy to be able to stay up. But they did it. And we'll see, it's all written here. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. These are people of Malam and Atem. Let's take a look. We're going to take a look at the page in front of you, 359. Underneath the Gimel on the right side, towards the bottom, last paragraph. This is the nusach of the letter that the Alkabetz wrote. De'u lachem, ki iskamnu ha'chasid natru yachmon ha'paki v'ani avdo v'avdechem me'achaverim. They had a general meeting. La'amod alav sheinu leil shvuos v'lenadei sheinu b'einenu. They decided that they're going to stay up leil shvuos and not sleep. It seems from this letter that this was not always accomplished throughout the generations. It's mashlam, this was a special thing that they did. And not everybody needs to do that, to stay up Leil Shavuos. They decided they're going to do it.
You'll have second away then.
Came Allah biyadenu, Tehillah La'el, they praise God. Kilo hefsaknu rega, they didn't stop learning the entire night. Rak asher tishmu v'tasli nafsheher. Only what they heard, that the Malach started to talk to them, then they stopped. V'zo haseder shekitanti v'zitarti b'layla hu rishoyna Torah karina mepashas gracious ad v'yechulu b'di'imo b'kol gadol v'achakach. Because the Hashlishi tells what they started reading the Psukim. Okay. We can skip a little bit. Go to the next paragraph up on top. Then afterwards after they finished going through, I'm going to the middle. It says that Achar Kach, in the middle of that paragraph, Mizmor, Hashemayim Mesaprim, Mizmor Yokom Elokim, Achar Kach Alpha Besa. Below Ha-Sheirut. Below Ha-Sheirut. What does below Ha-Sheirut mean? He knows, but without Pirkei Shira Moses in the was they said the Aleph base. You hear this, Rabbi Said? They stayed up at night, Shavuos, and they recited the Aleph base. You hear? They recited the Aleph base. What's in the Aleph base? Why? What's going in the Aleph base? I'll tell you why it's the Aleph base is so important. When you come home Friday night from shul, so I used to have the minhag that we sing Shalom Aleichem, and then we have Kiddush, right? Kiddush. Well, after Kiddush, and we sat down to eat, to wash, we had some fish. After we finished the first course, the fish, I said Eishus Chayim. to be Machabed, the Rebbetzin. She prepared Shabbos, he worked hard. He said, Eishes Chayil for the Rebbetzin, fine. One day, I saw in a sefer, no, that's wrong. Eishes Chayil you have to say before Kiddush. Why do you have to say before Kiddush? What's the difference if you say before or after? So it says, the Aleph Beis is the tzinor, it's the pipe, the pipeline through which all the brachas of Shabbos come to us. They come through the Aleph Beis. The Aleph Beis provides the tzinor, the pipeline, through which all the brachas come. And the brachas start when you make Kiddush. So you have to say Aleph, the Eishes Chayil before. So I changed the Minhag, and I say now Eishes Chayil after Shalom Aleichem. Say Eishes Chayil. The Aleph Beis is the tzinor. He says when they were up here on Leil Shavuos, they also said the Aleph Beis. Huh? Kuf Yutes. Yeah, he said below Pirkei Shir Amalos. Kuf Yutes. They said all right. Well, that's where it is. It's much, but they said the Aleph Beis Kuf Yutes. That is the tzino. All the brachas that have to come down on Shavuos now have a pipeline to come through. You say all the Aleph Beis say Kuf Yutes and Shavuos. I mean, I hope he means that. The notes on the bottom says Kuf Yutes, but over here it doesn't say. I don't know, maybe they just stop the Aleph Beis. Could be, I don't know.
Ashrim?
No, Aleph Beis, Gimel, Dalet. Say the letters, the Aleph Beis.
Also Ashrei should say it.
Ashrei, but it's missing over there the Nun.
Yeah.
There's a Nun. All right.
No, Flynn.
Yeah. All right. You have it also in Tachnun. In the Tachnun, in the Sfardi Tachnun. In the morning also there's the Aleph Beis over there also, but also letter is I think over also a pay missing or a kuf.
I never paid attention.
Take a look in the David Hashem. We see the Tachnun in the morning. We see the Aleph Beis there also. All right. Anyway, Achakach they said Kol Megillah Shir Shirim, v'Kol Megillas Rus. Achakach Psukim Afronim Shel Divrei Hayamim v'Kol Zeh Be'enu v'Yira B'Nigun v'Ta'ah.
Divrei Hayamim is not part of our.
It's Tanakh.
Divrei Hayamim.
It's part of Tanakh. Yes, sure. Yeah. I think some of the Haftarahs come from Divrei Hayamim also. Lo Yomchi is the perfect. Achakach Lamadnu Mishneh Kol Seid Ezroim Yachakach Lamadnu Al Derech Emes. So they did all those things, and they did also Mishnayos too. Seid Ezroim. The entire
So don't matter that explains.
Kabbalah. And then Kabbalah afterwards. But they call Seid Ezroim. How did I finish it? All the Mishnayos Seid Ezroim. And then they go. You hear when they started to learn the Mishnah, Lamadnu Shtei Mesechtot of Zroim, Zikinu Bor'enu V'Nishma as Kol HaMedaber B'Fi HaChosid. You hear that? B'Fi HaChosid. The voice came out of the Beis Yosef's mouth. Kol HaMedaber B'Fi HaChosid. From the Beis Yosef's mouth came out this voice. It wasn't his regular voice. Kol Godol B'Chituch Oisiyos V'Kol Hashchenim. Everyone around them, even those people who weren't in the room, who you shoyim v'lo mevinin. V'oya ha'neimos rav v'hakol cholech v'chazak v'nafalnu al paneinu. They fell on their faces because of this experience. They were hearing a voice. It was not the Beis Yosef's voice. It wasn't Yosef Karo's voice coming out of his mouth. And they hear words, chituch osios.
Which they didn't understand.
No, they did understand. The Shchenim heard, but they didn't. But those who were there did understand. Nobody had the chutzpah to lift up their eyes and take a look and see what's happening. They kept their faces facing to the ground because of the awesome experience. And it says, Shimmu Yedidai HaMahadrin min HaMahadrin. He's calling these people who are in the room, they're learning. Ashreichem b'olam hazeh, ashreichem b'olam haba. You are how fortunate you are. Shesamtem al nafshechem la'atreini b'layla hazeh. You have taken upon yourself to crown me on this night. Shezekama shonim noflo ateres roshri ve'ein menachlim. You hear? It's mashma that there were many years that passed before this that people did not do this. They did not stay up learning at Shavuos night. Vani mushleches ba'afar chobekes ashpasas, and I'm thrown to the ground. This is the malach of the Mishnah. I'm thrown to the ground and I'm in the garbage. You have returned my crown to me, and you're learning Mishnah, Leil Shavuos. Hitchasku yididai, hitamtsu ahuvai, simfu ve'ilsu. You should be thrilled and very happy that you have this chus. You should know that you who are learning tonight, you are elevated people. You are bnei Aliyah. You are worthy to be in the palace of the king. Your voice and your breath rises up to Hashem. It went through many, many levels, many, many heavens. When the malachim heard your voices, they were silent. All the different levels of malachim, the srafim, the chayos, they all were standing still and listening to your voices. The entire hosts of malachim Shema, everyone's listening to you learning Torah. This is absolutely amazing. You have to understand what's going on. When I was younger, I was learning about astronomy. I mean, in high school, maybe it was, and in college, and astronomy. And to give us a little bit of a picture of what the universe looks like, some artists, and maybe it wasn't art, maybe there was a picture of some kind, of the universe. And all you could see were trillions and trillions and trillions of dots.
Dark.
Because that's what it all is. Stars and stars and stars and stars. Trillions. Trillions. Somebody asked, who can find planet Earth on that map? You could not find it. Could not find planet Earth on the map. I'm telling you, just imagine the entire wall covered with trillions of dots. Dots. Each dot is a star. And a star is much bigger than the globe that we're on. You could not find planet Earth. Think for a moment.
And each dot is a solar system.
Well, I don't know if each dot is a solar system, but there were galaxies upon galaxies upon galaxies. And all the galaxies have millions of stars. Millions of stars. You cannot find planet Earth there. You cannot find it. And the whole world was created for Am Yisrael and the Torah on this planet, which you cannot find. Can you imagine such a thing? I said to my other Talmidim in another shir, the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean are pretty big. Pretty big. Let's just say you took a half a teaspoon of water and you dropped it in the ocean. Could you find a half a teaspoon of water in the Atlantic of this ocean? Just imagine to say the entire Pacific and Atlantic Ocean was created for that half a teaspoon of water. Would it make any sense? This is what's going on. The whole world's stopping, all the malachim are stopping for these few people in this room in Libya and Tripoli who are learning Torah at night. Everything stops in Shamayim. Everyone's listening. It's mind-boggling. Mamish mind-boggling. And this is what they're hearing. They're hearing the malach saying this. Everyone's listening to what you're saying. I am the Mishnah. I am the malach of the Mishnah. And I am the malach. I give Muslim to people. I came to talk to you. Had you been 10 people, they didn't have a minyan. They were learning together, Leil Shavuos, but there was not a minyan. There was lacking 10. If you were 10, you would have a greater position, much higher than you are right now because you're lacking a minion. Our Im calls those, nevertheless, Nisalesim, you have elevated and come to a very high level because of what you're doing tonight. You have made the Malach of the Mishnah, you have pulled him out of the garbage. For many, many years, people didn't do this. And you have now initiated a new minhag. V'ashreichem, v'ashrei yoladetchem, yididai asher nedaratem sheina meinechem, v'al yedchem nitalesi halayla zeh. And the Malach will say, I had such an elevation because of you this night. On your day,
This is going to the four worlds simultaneously?
well, he's not talking about those worlds. This is, I mean, I don't know.
Lowest world.
This is the, probably. But in the lowest world itself, there are many levels. Next page. We're 360 now. Hagdola. Ir ve'ein b'Yisrael, ve'ein atem ba'oisam ha'shochim al ha'mitot. You are not like those people who are lying on their beds. Mitos shein, marble beds. Sheina she'echad mishishim b'misa. You have to realize, sleep, in all of its necessity, sleep is considered to be 1/60 of death. Because the mind, all of a sudden, is not functioning. Right? The conscious mind is not functioning. Look how he talks about such terrible words. He's talking about people who are smelly on their beds. They're going to sleep on this night of Shavuos. This is what they do. Go on their marble beds of luxury, and they don't care about the Torah. But me'atem nidbaktem b'Hashem v'hu sameach b'chem. Kodesh Baruch Hu is very happy with you. You're staying up. L'chein banai hitchasku v'imtzu v'iltzu b'avasi b'torasi u'b'irasi. Strengthen yourself and gird yourself and continue with the Ava and the Torah and the Yira. Ve'ilu ha'isim misharem echad me'elef alfei alafim. Had you were able to imagine 1/1,000,000th rov reading Revavos mehatzar asher anishu yabo. Hear what the Malach is saying? If you can have one little iota of the tsar that I have, the Malach is saying this. You would never be able to be happy your entire life. You would never be able to laugh. Because of you, because the generation, they're not learning Torah. I'm thrown to the ground. I'm able, the Malach is saying that. And now he has a little bit of simcha. Don't stop. There is a special line of kindliness, of chesed, which is coming down to you. Your Torah is sweet to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Get up from the, they're all lying on the ground. They didn't pick their heads up. They were afraid because of the awesomeness of the moment. But he told them to stand up. Say out loud, stand up and recite out loud. Yeah.
How did they know to stay up?
They decided they wanted to be Mechabed the Torah. They just came to a decision. Leil Shavuos, the night before Kabbalah Torah, let's stay up to learn, to prepare ourselves. They decided to do it. And they had a good idea. You see, they had a Haskam in the Shamayim. All right, let's go further. Amadnu al Ragleinu, they stood up. The Malach gave them command to stand up, so they stood up. V'katri chartzenu mishtarin. He says, our shirts, our clothing were loose, they weren't tied. V'yamanu b'kol kasher nitzlavinu. We said out loud, like we were told to do. We said, Baruch Shem Tov Malchus Olam V'ed. This was an appearance of Malchus Shamayim, and they had a praise. Baruch Shem Tov Malchuso. V'chazav v'yamar, and then the Malach continued to speak. Ashreichem banai, shuvu el limudchem, go back to your learning. V'al tafsiku reka, don't stop for 1 second. Then he says to them, V'alu le'eretz Yisrael. They were in Tripoli, and he tells them, make Aliyah, go to Eretz Yisrael. Don't stay here. Doesn't mean this second. It means after Yontif, of course. Kilo kolitin shavos. Not all times are equal. Now this is an Eisrot, so now is the time. Go to Eretz Yisrael. Ve'ein ma'atzor l'hoshia barov o b'ma'at. There's nothing holding me back to help you, whatever you need, a little bit or a lot. Ve'nechem al tachusu al kalechem. He's telling them, you hear this? Don't feel bad about your belongings, about your estate, all your possessions. I'm telling you now, get out of here, go to Eretz Yisrael. Don't worry. You hear? V'im tovu, ki tov haaretz, hel yona tov, ki tov haaretz, hel yona tov. You'll get in Eretz Yisrael to eat, but you'll get spiritual food. V'im tovu v'shemai, if you're listening to me and you hear, tov haaretz hahi tochelu, you'll eat the best of Eretz Yisrael. L'chein maharu v'yalu, quickly. After Yontif, he says, go and make Aliyah as soon as you can. Ki ani hamafarneses lachem. The Malach is saying, I'm the one who brings the parnasa.
Why is it feminine?
Huh?
Why is feminine? Mefarneset?
Good question. I don't know.
Good question.
I don't know. Maybe it's because it's in the smear of Malchus. Maybe. I don't know, but it's a good question. Why is it said in female gender? It should say, Ani hamafarnes, not a farneses. V'ani hafarneschem, he says, I will support you in Eretz Yisrael too. You have no worries. V'atem shalom v'batechem shalom v'kol Hashem lechem shalom Hashem ozni amo yitein. Okay.
Is this to go to Jerusalem?
No, to Eretz Yisrael. He didn't say Jerusalem. He's going to Eretz Yisrael. He's telling them to leave where they were and go to Eretz Yisrael. Huh? As Kol Handvarim Ha'ele Diber, they know the Malach was talking to them. He's saying, "V'shama aznein," and we heard the voices, we heard the words. For Rabbos Kahina v'Kahina minyonei ha'chachma, and he also told us all kinds of Torah chachma. Kama v'kama haftachas gedolos, many promises he gave us. V'kulanu yeris go'inu b'bechia mirov hasimcha. They could not control themselves. They started to cry from rov simcha. Some people, you go to a chasana. You ever see people crying at a chasana? Chasana is a time to be happy. What are they crying about?
Joy.
Huh?
You can cry of joy.
Yes. Yes, and the cry. Fine. You have parents, let's say, who for years try to marry off their children. And it doesn't go. Finally, it goes. All of that pain, all of that tircha, all the years, they establish everything. It comes out all of a sudden, and they cry at the chuppah. You should be happy. You should be smiling. No, that doesn't work that way. Of course that happened. But all of the preparations, all the years, the tircha that they had, all the established telephone calls and the worries, it all comes out in one shot. And they're crying out of simcha.
It's the release of a burden.
It's maybe some kind of a relief. Yes, finally it had its vent, it had its exit, able to come out. Just a wind. All right. So they cried them simcha. Legam b'shamanu sorash hashchina b'avanosenu. They also heard the tsar of the Shechina because of the Averos of people. The Malach did not hold back on that either. When the Malach was talking about that, it sounded like the voice of a sick person who was beseeching us and asking us to change our ways. So we regirded ourselves and strengthened ourselves until the morning, until Alosa Shachar. So they were mamish in a state of ecstasy. They were thrilled, but at the same time they were trembling from the experience.
But Talis doesn't say anything what they learned.
You know, he says before they Told us they were learning the Mishnah. They said they
Yeah,
learned.
but
No, what the act? No, that. Vahiba Boker came to the morning. Halachnu v'tovalnu. You hear this, Rabbi say? They went to the mikveh in the morning. Kasher asinu shnei yomim kodem. Just like we went to the mikveh 2 days earlier. Doesn't say why they went 2 days earlier, but anyway, they went to the mikveh. V'sham matzonu l'shlosha chaverim. They found and they met in the mikveh 3 other chaverim, 3 talmidei chachamim. Asher lo nimtzu shama b'laylahu. They weren't in the room with us that night. V'ga'arnu behem, and we screamed at them. You fools, why weren't you with us? V'nisapir lehem as kol ha'tova asher asa Hashem imanu. They related everything that happened to them. The Malach, imagine, the Malach is coming and speaking to you. Vayimas liba b'kirbam, their hearts melted in themselves. V'sotru p'neim v'go b'b'chiyah. They slapped themselves in the face, and they were crying out of tsar that they weren't there. V'gam anachnu ischazachnu kenegdam. And we, because of that, felt even stronger that we were there. We were supposed to seicha. Yan b'sibasam l'zachinu od v'ifsadnu. He said, because of them, because they weren't there, they also had a loss. What was the loss? They were lacking the minyan. If those 3 people would have been there, they would have had a minyan. And it would have been a greater experience. Much more higher quality of experience. The awesomeness would have been much greater. Because of them, they didn't come. They went to the mikveh, they went to the next morning. But they weren't there to learn at night. Therefore, they had a big loss. Kasher Amar Lamala, he told them above, had the minyan been a minyan, the group of the minyan, you would have even a greater Aliyah. Now look what it says now. Vayomru, and they said, Mi'itein ve'halayla hazeh hasheni nischaber biyachad v'ni asar. So they did tshuva. They said, we're going to stay up now a second night of Shavuos, and we'll be 10. Now with the other 3 that were missing, we're going to be 10. The next night they're going to stay up again. Because it was 2 days in Chutzlaretz as Shavuos. Hiskamnu lasos came. The Yibshabalal Harishon Shena Beinenu Lo Re'inu. You hear that? I feel a regular command. The first night they didn't sleep at all. The Gam Bayom Lo Hu Nachlishon. We didn't put our heads down by day either. Why? Ki Dorosh Darash HaChasid Nachrech Achar HaMincha. The Rabbi Yosef Karo after Mincha gave a drasha. How could we go to sleep when the Rav's giving a drasha? He's the host. V'yashafnu sham, v'im kol zeh, shinasnu ba'oz masneinu, we girded ourselves. V'yasinu b'layla hasheni kasei de'harishon. And we stayed up a second night. U'meirov hasimcha shahaya asara, lo himtinu ad eis kro ha'mishnah. The Malach did not wait the second night until we started reading Mishnayos, because that was his cue to come, because he's the Malach of the Mishnah. He came before that. V'lo ad chatzos, and they didn't wait till chatzos k'mol b'rayishon, she'em mamish b'chatzos laila, rak tekiv she'hayinu korim dibros shel Mishnah Torah, v'hikienu el pasha shema, kol dodeinu dofek. As soon as they started saying Shema in Parshas V'Alovska, in Parshas V'Yaschanan, right away the Malach knocked, so to speak, on the door, V'Hischil, and he started to talk to us. Second night, before Chatzos and before the Mishnah. Shimu Yedidim HaMahadrim and HaMahadrim, Hakitzu, V'Ranu Shofli Ofra. So Ofra Elyon Shnei Hayin, okay, that's Kabbalistic. Dvorim Rabim Shel Chacham Omar, he said many sodas, many secrets he revealed to them. You are elevating me. Malamosi. You now are 10, and everything that is holy should always have 10 involved in it. You are fortunate, and the people who gave birth to you are fortunate to have people like you as their descendants. Altiru chepas enoshim umegidufam al techosim. Do not be afraid of the embarrassing things that people say to you or the curses. Ki atem hamalim the Knesset Yisrael. You hear that? This small group of 10 people are elevating all of Knesset Yisrael. Udu'u ki atem mibnei Aliyah kedel. The atem mizdab can be you're attaching yourself to me, says the Malach. The hakavod chofef al rasheichel. And you have whatever that means, the kavod is hovering over your heads. V'chut shel chesed mashuch aleichem. And you have a special line of simcha, of chesed, which is coming down to you from Shamayim. Vilmalei nitin rishus la'ayin, if you were to have the permission to see, hayitem ro'im, you hear what he's saying to them? Hayitem ro'im ha'esh hasorvefes hazabayis hazeh. They were surrounded by a fire encircling the entire house. But it wasn't a physical fire. It was a spiritual fire, and he told them, you do not have the ability to visualize that fire. But there is a spiritual fire which is surrounding the entire house that you're in because of your learning.
They could see it or not?
No, he says they couldn't see it. He says had they been given the reshus, they would have noticed this fire encircling the entire house. It is a sign of greatness. L'chein chizku v'imtzu al tafsiku hakesher. Don't stop your kesher. Keep the learning. That's the kesher is the Torah. V'ha'aluni b'kol ram, and elevate me. Learn Torah, but in kol ram, don't whisper it. Learn it. Say it aloud. Shema Yisrael, Baruch Shem Tov, Melchizul Yom Kiyom Kippurim. Say it again. I'm not just like Yom Kippurim. V'dvarim acherim, kamo chetzi shah, v'chazanu, and lasud lesod halimud. After that, they went back to learn. Okay. So this is all taking place when? Before Chatzos. Achakach, b'Chatzos Laila, Chaz v'Adibur Pam Shenis. The Malach returned to them again at Chatzos. V'diber shiur sha'ah v'yosef. He gave them a shir Torah for an hour or more. V'chazal shabeach inyan halimud hahu. And he was praising that learning on the night of Shavuos. V'amar, Ru'u, Hashma im kol medaber bachem. Listen to the call that's speaking to you. Shal avichem yagetcha v'zekenyachem yormulach. Im zekama me'os shana. You hear this? There's a few hundred years. Shamu o Ru'u kadavar hazeh. It wasn't for a couple hundred years that they had such an experience. In other words, over the generations, this was not done. This is not done before this time. V'yatem zechisa. V'lachein mikan v'hala. From this time on, tiyena einechem pekuchas ad achechem. Keep your eyes open and be mashkiach on your ways. V'ish es re'eu yazoru u'la'achiv yom ha'chazak. Strengthen each other. Help each other out. V'yachalash yomer gibor ani. Someone who feels he's weak, he should say, no, he's not weak. I have strength. I have my friends with me. I'm strong. We should know the Malach is telling them that you are now considered to be great people. You are from the king's palace. You have been zochet to come into the hallway. Now try to get into the actual palace itself. What does he mean to say by that? I think he means to say, huh? No, I think he means to say, you're in the prosdor, go to Eretz Yisrael. That's the track.
Yes,
Yeah.
So Joseph Karl lived 1488 to 1575. Was this the time of the Enlightenment starting also?
yes.
But that was in Europe. This is the East.
Yeah, but this was like a counter.
It could be, yeah.
Agabus was the one who like cutting the arms and the legs.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think he wrote after the cutting. arms and legs. I don't know.
Okay, so he's telling them again, the chut shel chesed, there's a thread of kindliness which is coming down upon you from Hashem, min hashamayim, midei yom b'yomo. Zeru hala u'mi'achu osa. You have to go further. I don't know what the word zeru exactly means. And you have to take the chut of chesed, this thread, and to make twine out of it and twirl it. Ki atem schurim michemdas ha'olam, or shikurim. Atem shikurim michemdas ha'olam. Hakitzu shikurim. You are drunk from all the, I would say, distractions of the world, all the desires of the world. Wake up. Don't get involved in all of the material distractions in the world that pull you away. You're going What's going to be? You're going to take it with you? Don't get distracted and be involved in all the gashmis of the world and making money and so on and all that and all the physical attractions. You can't take it with you. There's a lili zahavo chemdas hamamon, money, as we just said. Alu le'eretz Yisrael. That's the traklin. Go to Eretz Yisrael. Ki yesh le'el yedchem. You have now the power to do it. Rak she'atem mudba'in batit chemdas tevel v'chevlav. What's holding you back? Because you're sunken into the mud of all of the worldliness, all the gashmias, the material side of the world. V'yotze mikem v'nazur achor dama barosho. If anybody doesn't listen to me and he goes back to it, he's putting his life on the line. I'm telling you, go to Eretz Yisrael and leave all the materials around. You'll be able to have a successful life there. I'll take care of you, as he said before. You, the initiators, have reached a zchus that for many, many generations people did not reach. And he continued to convince them and to give them strength and more and more and more and more. Where are we holding? We have a few minutes left. You can finish it. Yeah. Huh?
What's the Bashamayim?
What's the answer?
We live on earth.
We live on earth, but the Malach comes and talks to you and tells you, and you hear the words, you don't understand what he's saying. So lo Bashamayim, but there's an exception. He's telling you to live on earth. He didn't tell you to go to Shemayim. He says, live on earth, but go live a higher life. He said, leave Chutzlart and go to Eretz Yisrael. We'll take care of you there also. Don't get distracted with all the material distractions of Olam Hazeh. What's I have the right page? No, we just finished page 360.
Yes,
361. 361, 361. 361, 361, okay. V'atabanim shimuli, listen to me. Hatu es lechem, tu levavchem, listen to me and put it and take it to your hearts. Mi pesi v'yishma dorm eile, v'lo yikach orba. Whoever hears these things and doesn't become shrewder, becomes smarter, is a fool. V'chaser lei v'lo yikneh. There's something wrong with his heart. He doesn't have his heart in the right place, and he won't acquire anything. Mi iver ve'inayim lo yiras chus b'zeh. Who could be so blind and not to see the tremendous chus that you have an opportunity for? V'lo yitin alibo lo shuv el Hashem b'chol avavo b'chol nafsho b'chol ma'odo u'meid ani shamayim ha'aretz. The Malach is saying, the Shamayim and Oris is a testimony for me. They are witness. Ki kol zeh shedibarti po u'b'kuntris eino chelek echad mimea v'echad. Whatever I told you now is only not even 100th of what there is. The fila b'kuntris ahu tiru bein teva l'teva. Look at what I wrote and I explained all the things. Look in between the lines, in between the words. Schools l'gezeh u'skula l'fameh v'hu ha'chacha Kishon haya davar nela below hirsheti atzmi l'tovosov. The Alkabitz, when he's writing this, he says there were things that I was not allowed to write.
Because it's working now.
Was allowed to write. Achai v'ami. Now he's writing the alchemist, he's talking to us. My brothers, my nation. Shimu v'techi nafshechem. Listen to me and become alive. Ki ha'chaverim hashleinu asher ro kol zeh. Ruach hadosh anita b'kibam. Everyone who was there had a new spirit in them. The Yom B'Yom HaShabbos Chazer Hadibur El Chassid. You hear that? He came back again on Shabbos the Malach. V'iflush Rechavia as Asher Asinu V'shnei Aleilos Eilu. And he continued to praise what we did on the previous 2 nights. Yomar Pamu Papayu Shalosh B'Kol L'Chaverim V'Yistamru Mechovayu. He told everybody, make sure you stop doing the Averis. You're in the pros door. You're on the way to Eretz Israel. Make sure you do the Ishtadlus. Go to the Trachlim. Go to Eretz Israel. Don't be satisfied with staying here. A person is going to go out and go to Eretz Israel. He doesn't want to go, as the planner says, he's putting his life in danger. If you have such an experience and you throw it away, you are being mevazeh mamash kvod shamayim. It's double barosho. The NACHLAOT. The Oz Amar HaFasid Kodem Achilas HaBoker. All of a sudden, the Beis Yosef, Rabbi Zivkar, stood up before having soon in the morning. The Kipsam Kulam Biyachad. This was Shabbos. And he got everyone together. V'diber hu alayim v'hisu behem kasher tziva. And he warned them. Yachach Omar, Ani avdechem, he said to them, I am your servant. V'yadu kulam v'yomru, naseh v'nishma. They all agreed that they're going to go to Eretz Yisrael. The Tiknu Takonos Rabos, V'yachas Mehem, one of the Takonos they made there, Sheyom Revi Kula L'Zecher HaChurban. They took on that they make one day of the week, every week, not just Shivas and Matapas and Tisha B'Av. Every day of the week, one day, Yom Revi, on Wednesday, Zecher L'Churban. V'shlo Nochal Bosar, V'vlo Nishtei Yayin, Leila V'yomo, Kol Chav Dal 24 hours, no eating meat or drinking wine. Unless as soon as mitzvah or Sunday. Last paragraph. Hakitzu v'chizku, now he's talking to us. Hakitzu v'chizku v'imtzu iltzu b'avodas yotzreinu. Uru'u, ki kifi amuva medivri hamagid, as the Magid was saying, Leo Rishon shall shvuas gamatem, o kulchem o miksaschem. Kamo kain, no adethem la'avodas Hashem, v'chein nizkartem. You are expected to be worship Hashem the first night at least. That they don't expect the second night. Is what was spoken, what I say, you should do. What was promised in this kuntrus, maybe it means the Chut Shel Chesed. Ki nodar hachasid v'ani l'shevetz be'eretz v'chaverim. They made a neder, the Beis Yosef and everybody else, that they're going to live in Eretz Yisrael. V'yovu hamalachim, whatever. L'chein kol echad yitel libo v'nechem al tachus al klechem. Don't have worries about your possessions in Chutz La'aretz. V'lo yatzim v'nechem chemdas ha'olam v'miyut ha'avtocha. Do not close your eyes to the distractions of the world, the desires of the world. You might have charata, and then you won't be able to do anything about it.
What is that word?
Charata, you might have regrets. If you give in to your feelings about all the possessions you have regrets, and then you won't be able to do anything about it. It'll be too late. Now is an Eitz Ratzon. He's telling them Shua's time. Now is the Eitz Hazamir Higia to make Aliyah. Not all the time do you have these opportunities. His heart is a fire inside him. He's writing this, the alchemists. Okay, all these things happen to me, that it is like the Midrash Rehavia, you see, Hashgacha Pratis. And I don't even know, I don't understand it all. Hashem wants to give me this experience. I should be able to share it with everybody else. Take it into your heart. Don't think yourself as weak. Say you're strong. We go with Hashem, you're strong. Everybody helps everybody else. Vani es nafshi hitzalti. The Alshich is saying, I know that at least I saved myself. Chizku al tarbi yidechem ud'u, ki gam kiblu hachaverim heina. The other chaverim also will makabel. Ki be'erev Tisha B'Av, not only on Yom Revi, but erev Tisha B'Av, on Yom Ches, lo yochal shum tavshil vafilu shel adoshim, v'zeh kol hayom. Ubesuda hamafsekes, pas chareva v'kisa shel mayim, kelu rabos imo. There are all kinds of takanas they made. He's wanting to say, okay, l'chein chushu al kvod yatzrechem, utenu elav kavod. Bizaru pentis nachabu chalila, be careful. Don't have charata, don't have regrets. Ve'el shaddai et chanein, yitem b'lvavchem l'chus alatzimchem. Have rachmanis on yourself, and do what you're supposed to. V'yizakenu v'yizacheni machem, el admas hakodesh, la'avdosh chem achad, amen.
At least we made the first step coming to Israel.
Right? Baruch Hashem.